Dodger Baseball. Live from Dodger Stadium, Sportsnet LA presents the Dodgers as they take on the Colorado Rockies. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Saturday night to you, wherever you may be. Dodgers at home at the stadium playing Colorado, Game 3 of the 4-game series. Dodgers right now riding the wave. They are 7 games in front of the Giants, and the magic number is 2. The Dodgers winning it either with 2 victories or 1-1 with the Giants, and they will then clinch their 4th consecutive National League Western title. And tonight, they lead with their best. Clayton Kershaw on the hill. He is 11-3, 1-0 against Colorado. He is 17-5 lifetime against the Rockies, and 8 wins and no losses against them in 9 starts. How did he do last time out? Well, he went 6 innings, did not allow anything but an unearned run, and the Dodgers won the game 2-1. On the mound for the Rockies, Chad Bettis. He has a record of 13-7, 0-1 against the Dodgers this year. That's his record, 0-1 lifetime. Tomorrow, Fan Appreciation Day. That's always a fun day. Brandon McCarthy will take the mound for the Dodgers, and Tyler Anderson for Colorado. So those are the names and the numbers. Pull up a chair, sit back, relax. We've got a good ball game and the prospect of a whole lot more right after this. Very pleasant Saturday evening to you, wherever you may be. Dodgers sitting on top of the crest of the wave. 7 games in front of the Giants. The magic number is 2. The Giants right now, however, are doing pretty well in San Diego. Among other things, Joe Panik knocked in 2 with a bases-loaded single. Later on, Angel Pagan came up, and he banged in a single to give the Giants a first-inning 3-0 lead for Madison Bumgarner. On the mound, Jared Closer for San Diego, and you can bet we'll keep an eye on that ball game all night long. Meanwhile, we'll also keep an eye on Clayton Kershaw as he goes to the mound with that great record, 11-3, 1-0 against Colorado, 17-5 lifetime, and 8-0 in his last 9 starts against Colorado. So we'll take a look at the Rockies lineup. They start off with Charlie Blackmon in center, Daniel Descalso in short, and Nolan Arenado at third. Ryan Rayburn in left field hits cleanup. Gerardo Parra, who had been ill for the first 2 games. Parra, however, is healthy enough to go up against Clayton Kershaw, and he's had a good deal of success against Clayton, so he's got to be feeling a little bit better. Parra is 2 for 27, hitting .370 against Clayton Kershaw. After Parra, you have Steven Cardillo, who plays first. Then Pat Valaika at second, Tony Walters at catcher, and Chad Bettis on the mound. So Clayton Kershaw, who would like to certainly pitch the Dodgers to within 1 of the magic number. Not a thing he can do about the Giants leading San Diego, but the ball is certainly in his hand as far as Colorado is concerned. He'll start off facing Charlie Blackmon, a very good ball player who does a lot of things, including stealing bases. In fact, Friday when he stole, it was his 101st stolen base in his career, hitting .323, 12-game hitting streak, 28 home runs, 77 runs batted in. Kershaw into the windup, and here we go. First pitch, fastball a little low. Ball 1, 1-0. Blackmon, Descalso, and Arenado. It's a very comfortable 80 degrees here as the sun sets. Not bad at all. 1-0 pitch on the way. A little high. Blackmon checks up, pulls up, and the count 2-0. Colorado Rockies trying to get well at the expense of the Dodgers. They've lost 2 in a row and 6 of the last 10. 2-0 pitch on the way. Fastball fouled off to the left. Fastball at 94. You're not going to see Clayton Kershaw throw like some of the young Rocky pitchers last night. Certainly not like John Gray, who was 98 and 99, but he couldn't throw strikes in the first inning, and that cost him the game. Kershaw, 94 is about his high. Clayton ready. 2-1 pitch on the way. Breaking ball hit foul, bouncing off the protective railing, and the count 2-2. So Blackmon, Descalso, and Arenado. The Rockies right now 15 games behind the Dodgers. Of course, they suffered a tremendous blow when they lost that amazing shortstop, Trevor Story, who went out with 27 home runs when he got hurt. They pitched to Blackmon just inside, and the count goes 3-2. Just to complete Story, he had 27 home runs and 72 runs batted in 90 some odd games. 3-2, here it comes, hit foul again up and deck the frontage of the Colorado dugout. So 3-2 the count to Charlie Blackmon. Blackmon, Descalso, and then Arenado. For the Dodgers, trying to win their 89th game and their 52nd at home, and a high pop fly to the left side of the infield. It will be Seager or Turner, and it's Turner for the catch. So 1 away, we can set the Dodgers with the Leather, Gonzalez, and Utley, Seager and Turner, Kendrick, Peterson, and Reddick, and Grandal handling Kershaw. 1 out, and here's Daniel Descalso. The veteran who spent a lot of time with the Cardinals, including a World Championship club back in 2011. 8 home runs, 38 runs batted in, left-hand batter, and looks at a strike. Got 0-1. Dave Rackley, the plate umpire. Mark Reppiger, then Alfonso Marquez, and Larry Vanover. Strike one, pitch on the way, a little high. 1 ball and 1 strike. David Rackley in his 4th year. His first major league game was back in 2010. He's out of North Carolina. All right, the 1 ball, 1 strike pitch. Kershaw deals very high at 93, and the count 2-1. Dodgers playing very well of late. They have won 11 of the last 13 here at Dodger Stadium. 2-1 fastball is swung on and missed. 2-2 to Daniel Descalso with Nolan Arenado on deck. Arenado last night hit his 40th home run. 2-2 pitch on the way. Breaking ball lifted in the air to right center. The outfielders converge, and it's a right fielder Reddick making the catch. 2 down, first inning, and here's Arenado. Brilliant with the glove and doing exceptionally well with the bat. Arenado hitting .292, 40 home runs, 129 runs batted in. Against Kershaw, well, he has a home run, couple of RBIs, hitting .267 against him. Kershaw holds the ball in front, turns on the rubber, and the first pitch in for a strike, 0-1. Arenado with Ryan Rayburn on deck. Strike one pitch on the way. Clayton comes right back with a changeup and just missed with it. 1-1 the count. Boy, if you were hitting over the body movement of Kershaw, you'd certainly be way out in front of it. Arenado stayed back, now promptly bangs one foul down the left field line, and the count 1-2. 2 down, first inning. In looking at the Rockies, a ball club that has a problem at home, they're 73-81 for Walt Weiss, but again, losing Story, the shortstop, really a blow. 1-2 pitch on the way. Fastball got him swinging. Fastball at 94. So down goes Arenado. Down go the Rockies. 1-2-3. And at the end of half an inning, Colorado nothing, and the Dodgers coming up. Kershaw picking up his strikeout. Now let's take a look at the Dodger lineup tonight. No dramatic changes whatsoever. The winner of this year's Roy Campanella Award, Chase Utley. He will lead it off, followed by Corey Seager, the shortstop, Justin Turner at third, Adrian Gonzalez at first. Yasmani Grandal behind the plate, Josh Reddick in right, Howie Kendrick in left, Jock Peterson in center, Clayton Kershaw on the mound. On the mound, Chad Bettis, big right-hander, looks in to get a sign, and we're off and ready for the first pitch. Bettis delivers, and a fastball for a strike, 0-1. Chase Utley, hands down winner of the Roy Campanella Award. 12 home runs, 50 runs batted in. Next pitch low and away, and the count 1-1 strike. There was the award given earlier, and of course Chase thrilled over the honor, and it's a big one. The 1-1 pitch about ready to come up, and Utley has a look, lays off, and it's outside. Ball 2. 2-1 the count. Chad Bettis out of Lubbock, Texas, born and still lives there. 6'1", 200-pounder, and right-handed all the way. 2-1 pitch outside, ball 3, 3-1. Chad was a second-round pick by the Rockies 6 years ago. Went to school at Texas Tech. We're always talking about the scouts and baseball people in general want big starting pitchers. Well, it's interesting. They referred to Bettis as not being very big. Well, he's 6'1" and 200 pounds. That's big, I guess, except anywhere in Texas. The Astros wanted him, but he went back to college at Texas Tech and finally signed on with the Rockies. The 3-2 pitch on the way is golfed at and fouled at the plate. No. Strike 3. So Utley strikes out, and we have one down here in the first inning. Corey Seager coming up. We'll take a look now at the Rockies. Cardillo and Valaika on the right side. Descalso and Arenado on the left. Rayburn, Blackman, and Parra in the outfield. Tony Walters, so we're seeing 3 catchers for the Rockies, and the pitcher, Chad Bettis. Seager hitting .313, 25 home runs, 69 runs batted in. He's moving up the ladder as far as runs and runs scored, and he takes ball 1, 1-0 the count. They tell me that Chad Bettis and the coach Steve Foster came together with a study as Seager swings and doesn't get it. That is that Bettis came up with a scoring system to rate each starter's performance. The next pitch as Seager bats away, in for a strike. I don't know what happened there. Maybe Seager didn't ask for time, but Bettis made the pitch, and Seager was just about out of the box. Time now called by Dave Rackley. 1-2 to Corey Seager. Bettis both feet on the rubber, just about in the middle. Comes back with a breaking ball low, and the count 2-2. With Bettis, you'll get a 4-seamer at 96. Then he has a good hard curveball, change cutter. The 2-seamer, pretty good sinker. Now the 2-2 pitch foul back. Of course, when you see a pitcher, the scouts are always trying to compare him to somebody, and they say that Chad Bettis reminds him a little bit of Jake Peavy. Not bad. Peavy, a Cy Young winner. 2-2 pitch in the dirt, ball 3. 3-2. Bettis is the second oldest starter on a very young staff, and he's only 27. So 3-2. Turner on deck. Here comes the 3-2 pitch to Corey Seager. Swung on, lifted, foul down the left field line and out of play. We talked about Corey having scored 102 runs. The #1 rookie, Johnny Frederick, way back in '29, had 127. Jackie Robinson and Jim Gilliam each had 125, and he hits another one foul down the left field line. So it's going to be hard for him to do. I mean, the Dodgers have one more with Colorado and 6 left, so 7 after tonight, and he would have to score 23 runs. Pretty hard. Reddick comes back, and there's a ground ball to the right side. Vallejo is here. That makes the throw, and we have 2 down. So 2 out, first inning, and Justin Turner checking in.
Third baseman, number 10, Justin Turner.
So Justin Turner hitting .270. He has certainly been consistent for the last 2.5, almost 3 full years. He's hit .294. Right now, 27 home runs, 87 runs batted in, and Bettis' fastball in for a strike. There is one thing about Bettis that does not make very much sense, but then again, that's baseball. Strike 1 pitch is low, 1-1. He's a Colorado pitcher. He's allowed 15 home runs on the road and only 6 in the rarefied air of Denver. The 1-1 pitch is low, ball 2, 2-1. So Chad, 28 years old, make him 27 years old in April. Bettis nods, turns, 2-1 pitch, fastball inside. Boy, he pitches in a hurry. 3-1 the count. So Turner backs out for a moment, almost to catch his breath. And Chad's right back up on the rubber, and here he comes, 3-1. Swung on and missed, 3-2. No score, bottom of the first inning. Giants jumped out in front 3-0 in the first inning in San Diego. Now the 3-2 pitch on the way, pulled on the ground, foul down the line. So Turner is still there. Dodgers have more work to do. That'll be tomorrow. Each day kind of an experiment. Tyler Anderson. I'm not sure about Rich Hill. We'll wait. High fly ball to right center, and that's going to drop for a base hit. Cut off nicely by Parra. Gets it back in. So Turner, a 2-out single to right center, and the batter will be Adrian Gonzalez. Gerardo Parra was not well enough to play first base for 2 games, but he's playing right field tonight. Had to grab it on a hop, and it was a pretty good play. So Turner, single to right center. Here comes Adrian Gonzalez. Bottom of the first, no score. Giants got 3 in the first inning. Joe Panik drove in 2. Then Pagan singled in another. And the first pitch to Adrian away, ball 1. Brandon McCarthy is listed now as pitching tomorrow instead of Rich Hill. We were pretty doubtful about Hill. Hill will pitch. That's Brandon with his chin in his hand and Brett Anderson next to him. 1-0 pitch in there. So the way the pitching goes, McCarthy tomorrow, then Urias and Kenta Maeda on Wednesday in San Diego. Second game of the series in San Francisco, it will be Rich Hill. Next pitch, ground ball directly to the first baseman. That's Cardillo. He picks it up, steps on the bag, and that's it. No runs, 1 hit, nobody left. And at the end of an inning, no score. Second inning, no score in the ball game, the Dodgers and the Rockies. For Clayton Kershaw, he made 16 pitches in the first inning, struck out 1. For Chad Bettis, he worked a little harder. He made 25 pitches, gave up a base hit to Turner. So we go to the second inning, no score, with Rayburn, Parra, and Cardillo coming up in that order. Ryan Rayburn started last night, struck out, lined out, then Dahl came in and had a base hit and finished up striking out. Rayburn, a veteran, he's played for several clubs, Detroit, Cleveland, Colorado. Ryan checks in, right-hand batter. Kershaw into his windup, and the first pitch to Rayburn, he looks and takes ball 1. Giants still lead the Padres 3-0. They're only in the bottom of the second inning. So 1 ball and no strikes. Here comes Kershaw. Left-hander fires, and it's swung on and missed. 1 ball and 1 strike. Clayton trying to win his 12th. Remember, 8-0 in his last 9 starts against Colorado. Clayton turns, ready. 1-1 pitch on the way. That's drilled but low. 2-1 the count. Clayton Kershaw in his young career has already won 125 games. Here's the 2-1 pitch on the way. Fastball grounded to short. Short hop by Seager, who fires across to Gonzalez. And we have 1 away in the second inning. If you look at the winningest Dodger left-handers, you start, to no one's surprise, Sandy Koufax at 165. Claude Osteen at 147. Fernando Valenzuela, 141. Johnny Padres, 136. Going way back, Knapp Rucker, 134. And then Clayton Kershaw with 125 victories. Clayton ready into the windup. Gerardo Parra, who hits him pretty well. Big swing and a miss. And the count 0-1. So Parra not feeling well, but when he finds out Kershaw's pitching, believe it or not, he's hitting .370 against Clayton. Strike 1 pitch, swung on, beaten foul into the dirt, and the count 0-2. Gerardo Parra missing 2 games, but he is 10 for 27, a .370 batting average. He has 4 extra base hits in his career against Clayton. Parra back up. He was supposed to play first base. Tonight he is playing right field. Strike 2 pitch, fastball, foul back. You may remember he was playing with the Diamondbacks. I forget the runners, but he threw somebody out, and then he shook his fingers as if to say, no, 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 don't run on me. Well, he's back in right field tonight. No balls and 2 strikes the count. Here comes Clayton. Big breaking ball in the dirt. Slow change. 73 miles an hour. No score, second inning. Remember, the magic number is 2. Dodger win, Giant loss, it's over. Giants win, Dodgers win, it's reduced to 1. Now the 1-2 pitch on the way. Clayton delivers, little ground ball to third. Turner is up with it, guns it to first. So that takes care of Parra, and we have 2 down in the second inning. This is a spectacular night. It is not nicely warm, 80 degrees, no breeze, but when you look out beyond center field, all you can think of are those magic words, Purple Mountain's Majesty. The trees are in front of them, and they're looking up as if eager to take a look at the game. Beautiful view. Cardillo, right hand hitting first baseman. Steven takes a strike and the count 0-1. Cardillo last night 0 for 3 with a walk, and in the game before 0 for 3 with a walk. So 0 for 6. He's had 2 big lifetime marks with the Dodgers. His first major league hit was against the Dodgers. His first home run was against the Dodgers, and his first grand slam against the Dodgers. Stephen Cardullo. Kershaw ready, no balls, 2 strikes. Clayton turns, ready, here he comes, high fastball away, 1-2 the count. Boy, the sunlight, the setting sun turning the green slightly golden green. Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way, changeup fouled away. Clayton's changed right around 73 all the time, maybe 74 once in a while. And when he throws that great big rainbow curveball, he's gotten that at 70 and even 69. So his 1-2 pitch now to Cardullo. Clayton ready, here he comes, fastball fouled away. Fastball at 90. Cardullo's the boy who was not drafted, battled his way 4 years in independent ball, hoping that somebody would spot him, and he finally made it. The 1-2 pitch on the way. Kershaw, slow breaking ball, but that's a little bit up. 2-2. That's a big strikeout pitch for him, but not that time. 2-2 to Stephen Cardullo. Here comes Clayton. Fastball fouled away. Coming off a recent game where Cardullo went 2 for 4, and he had his first major league double and his first major league triple. He had a big doubleheader against the Dodgers. He starts to check a pitch in the dirt, and down he goes. Couldn't hold up. Second strikeout for Kershaw. Down go the Rockies, and at the end of an inning and a half, with the setting sun peeking in to look at the game, no score. Chad Bettis getting ready to pitch to Grandal, Reddick, and Howie Kendrick. Huge series so far for Grandal, and he takes a strike. The Rockies put up their mountainous defense on the right side. When you're talking about the Rockies, it has to have something to do with mountains. No balls and 1 strike. Bettis comes back, line drive, base hit into right field, charging Parra, and you could read his mind. Parra was hoping to make a throw to first base, but Grandal was hustling all the way, and Gerardo did not have the opportunity. So a leadoff single by Grandal, and he hit it hard over the head of the middleman, Tad Valaika. Dodgers' second hit, and the batter now, Josh Reddick. By the way, it's always good to be curious. And we were looking at Chad Bettis close up when he was looking in to get a sign. I'll tell you about it in a moment. Here's Josh Reddick. Left-hand batter takes high, ball one. Reddick checking in, swinging a good bat, 276, 9 home runs, 32 runs batted in. 1-0 pitch on the way. Bettis delivers. That one is in for a strike. 1-1. Well, he's tucked it inside the shirt. You see the chain around the neck of Chad Bettis. Every now and then something pops out of the shirt on the chain, and it turns out to be his wedding ring. The 1-1 pitch on the way, poked up along third, foul ball, and the count 1-2. So Chad Bettis, with his better half certainly with him out there on the mound. No score, bottom of the second inning. Chad ready in the 1-2 pitch. That's a little low. 2-2 the count to Josh Reddick. By the way, we were talking about reading Gerard Delpar's mind on that line drive single to right, and we were saying how he loves to throw. Well, he leads all major league outfielders in assists going back to 2009. 2-2 pitch, ground foul. So that gives us a time. As an outfielder, Parra has 81 assists. Adam Jones 79, Jay Bruce 78. I know ever since he came into the league, he loves to throw. Like Puig, like anybody else, was a strong arm. 2-2 the count. Here comes Bettis, ground foul outside of first, and Reddick is still there. No runs, no hits for the Rockies in their 2 innings. Kershaw retired 6 in a row, striking out 2. The Dodgers have 2 hits, 2 outside. Oh my goodness, another Angel in a pink cap with a ball. Oh, what a dreamboat. Here's the 2-2 pitch on the way. That's going to be hit foul the other way, or third. Oh, it's fun to look around in the stand, especially to see the kids full of enthusiasm or sleeping, whatever. They're also very active in many cases. Another pink hat. Very, very lovely on a young lady. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and the pitch in the dirt. So 3-2 the count. Grandal at first. Nobody out, second inning. Howie Kendrick on deck. So Chad, who is not considered a big guy as a pitcher, but he's 6'1" and 200 pounds. I would think that would be big in almost any locker room, but not if you're a major league pitcher. All right, 3-2. We'll see about Grandal. He's not going, and Reddick takes high, ball 4. 2 on, nobody out. The bottom 3 in the lineup coming up. That would be Howie Kendrick, then Jock Peterson, and Clayton Kershaw. So the first thing Kendrick does as a veteran is to look at the third base coach. Is there a play in the works? Howie has done such a wonderful job. It's tough enough to master one position, and he's done that for years with the Angels at second base. Then he came over here, and they made him a left fielder, and occasionally at third base. And he's a little bit at first base. So first, second, third, and left field for Howie Kendrick. Right-hand hitter checking in. Bettis spinning the ball around in his fingertips. Right-hander ready and delivers. Kendrick, a high pop foul. That'll carry out of play. 0-1 the count. So in the inning, Grandal line drive single to right. Reddick walked. And here's Howie Kendrick trying to put up something against Chad Bettis. Strike 1 pitch on the way. Chad at the belt, snaps a fastball, grounded into left field. They will stop Grandal at third, and the throw at the plate is cut off. So the Dodgers have loaded the bases with nobody out. Single by Grandal, walk to Reddick, and a ground ball single off the bat of Howie Kendrick. Bases loaded, nobody out, and Jock Peterson coming up.
Center fielder number 31, Jock Peterson.
Jock Peterson right up there in home runs, 24, 61 runs batted in. He has hit 50 home runs in his young career. So he has Grandal at third. He has Reddick at second and Kendrick at first. Peterson checking in. He has one grand slam. Bet is set, ready, delivers, high and tight, ball one. He had a grand slam last year in Atlanta. Grandal, who led off with that base hit, he is 6 for 8 in this series. So he just makes things happen. Here's the 1-0 pitch on the way. Peterson takes a strike and the count 1-1. In fact, looking at Grandal standing at third, he's hitting about 370 against the Rockies. And as we said, 6 for 8 in the series. 1 ball and 1 strike. Bettis straightens up infield, double play depth, and the pitch low, 2-1. They're double play depth, but they're overloaded. 3 men on the right side. You almost scratch out Arenado as a middleman or anything like that. But that's the way that the stage is set, and a 2-1 count. Bettis back with a pitch low, so now he's in a lot of trouble. 3-1 the count. Remember last night, there were a couple of walks and a hit batter in the first inning, and a base hit by Grandal picked up 2 in a hurry. So for Walt Weiss, it is a head-scratching time. And Bettis, meanwhile, trying to get better in a hurry with Clayton Kershaw on deck. 3-1 the count to Jock. Bettis ready. Here's the pitch. Swung on. Ground ball by the diving Cardola into right field. 1 run scores. Here comes the second run. And the Dodgers lead 2-0. And they have runners at first and second. So Jock Peterson, a hard single to right field. Grandal scored from third. Reddick scoring from second. Kendrick stopped at second. Now Stephen Foster, the pitching coach, out to talk to Bettis. So the Dodgers got the jump on the Rockies last night in the first inning. Led 2-0 and went on to win it 5-2. In the first game of the series, the Dodgers actually were behind when they went to bat in the bottom of the second. So as usual, Grandal started it, and the Dodgers have 2.
Pitcher number 22, Clayton Kershaw.
So Clayton Kershaw coming up. Among other things, the Dodgers now are really making it a habit of beating the Rockies here at Dodger Stadium. You know, they've won 19 of the last 24 against the Rockies here at Dodger Stadium. All right, 2 on, they're looking bunt. They get a miss, and the count 0-1. Another thing about the Rockies, and I'm sure it's a bitter pill, but a Rocky loss would also give the franchise their 6th consecutive losing season. Their record would be 73-82, and no chance to get above 500. Strike 1 pitch, a bunt is down. It's a good one. The play has to go to first. Bettis does, and the runners move up a notch. Kendrick goes to third. Peterson advances to second. And with 1 out, Chase Utley coming up.
Number 26, Chase Utley.
Meanwhile, Giants still lead the Padres 3-0, bottom of the 3rd inning. That's a Madison Bumgarner game. Jarrett Cosart pitching for San Diego. So here's Utley. The infield has to play up with 1 out. Kendrick will come down the line from third. Peterson away from second. And Arenado, Descalso, and Valaika and Cardillo all up. Bettis straightens up. Right-hander looks over at third. The first pitch off the plate to Utley. 0-1. Chase fighting it a little bit as far as making contact is concerned. Last night, he struck out 3 times and struck out first time up tonight. 2-0 Dodgers second inning. 1 ball and no strikes. Bettis at the belt, ready. 1-0 pitch, slides in for a strike. 1-1. In the inning, Grandal single to right. Reddick walked. Kendrick single to left to load him up. Peterson single to right to drive in 2. 1 ball and 1 strike. Bettis back and works it low. 2-1. Bettis has been pitching pretty well. 3-0 over his last 4 starts. But he is 0-1 with a high ERA against the Dodgers. It's almost 6. 2-1 pitch. Utley takes low. Well, you have first base open and you have Corey Seager on deck. So Bettis in trouble, falling behind. 3-1 the count. 1 pitch away from the bases loaded. Stephen Foster. Walt Weiss dying a little bit in the dugout. Chad, a long look in to Walters. Straightens up, and the 3-1 pitch coming up. Way outside to load up the bases. That one wasn't even close. So the Dodgers with 3 hits have scored twice, and they've received 2 walks. Bettis is certainly not out of the woods. The infield with the bases loaded, they go back to double play, Deb. And here is Seager, who grounded to Valaika, the second baseman, in the first inning. Bettis leans in, reading Walters. Seager backs out. 2-0 Dodgers, bottom of the second, and looking for more. 1 away. Bettis has made 50 pitches so far. His first pitch is swung on. One hopper knocked down by Cardillo. They get a play at second. The ball is dropped while in the act of throwing. So it's an out. Kendrick scores, and the lead is 3-0 Dodgers. Well, I'll tell you one thing. Seager drilled that ball. Cardillo was just able to stay with it and get the force on Utley. Hard hit ball gets away. Cardillo goes down to shortstop for the force, and Descalso just dropped the ball while in the act of throwing. No reason to appeal that one. So Kendrick scores on the play. Peterson is now at third. Seager at first. Dodgers 3 runs, 4 hits. Turner single to right field in the first inning. Right-hander Bettis in trouble now, and his first pitch is in for a strike, 0-1. So Turner is the 8th man to come to the plate. 3 in, 2 on, and 2 out. Boy, Seager really hit that ball hard. Cardillo just did stay with it. Strike 1 pitch on the way. Bettis deals low and away. Hard fastball at 93. Turner, you would think, would do well against left-handers. He's a good hitter, but he does much better against right-hand pitching. 1 ball and 1 strike. Peterson and Seager at the corners, and there's a drive to center that's going to land for a base hit. So Peterson scores to make it 4-0, and stopping at second is Seager. So Turner goes 2 for 2 and picks up a run batted in. Big inning for the Dodgers. 4 runs and 4 hits, along with a couple of walks. And the batter is Adrian Gonzalez, and Bettis is hurting as he faces the 9th man in the inning. And they will get somebody up in a hurry in the Colorado bullpen. Gonzalez grounded out to Cardillo in the 1st inning. Right-hander gets up, Eddie Butler, and he'll begin to loosen up. 55 pitches made now, and the fastball is low in the dirt. 1 ball and no strike. So John Gray went wild and gave up 4 runs in 4 innings. Tyler Chatwood did pretty well. He allowed 2 runs through 6. Dodgers went on to win 7-4 in the Chatwood game. 5-2 against Gray, and they're leading 4-0 tonight. 1-0 pitch on the way. Fisted foul off to the left out of play. Gonzalez properly jammed. Gray last night expended a lot of energy and made 60 pitches in 2 innings. Well, here's Bettis ready to make his 57th pitch in the 2nd inning. Right-hander straightens up, checks the runners. 1-1 pitch. Adrian, it's a hard ground ball, smothered by Cardillo, who brings it to the bag, and that's the inning. So the Dodgers pick up 4. All started. Jock Peterson aided and abetted by singling to right field. That drove in a couple. And then Justin Turley cheered on. He singled, and he drove in 2. And at the end of 2, 4-0 Dodgers. Leading 4-0, top of the 3rd inning, and it makes it very uncomfortable for the Rockies because Clayton Kershaw in his career is 83-0 if the Dodgers get him 4 or more runs. So we'll see if it becomes 84-0 at the expense of Chad Bettis, who gave up 4 runs, 4 hits, and a couple of walks. 9 Dodgers went to the plate. Now it'll be Pat Valaika to start it off. Valaika playing second base, followed by Tony Walters. Valaika went to UCLA, and the first pitch on the outside corner for strike. Anybody know how UCLA did? They were playing Stanford in the Rose Bowl. Maybe we'll find out. We'll break the news to Pat Valaika. He was born in Valencia. Chases a breaking ball, fouls it back, and the count 0-2. Valaika has been playing for about 5 years, working his way up. He was at New Orleans last year. "24 years old, And the pitch to Pat, swung on, hit in the air to right. Going back a wee bit is Reddick to make the catch. And we have one away. Kershaw has retired 7 in a row. It's halftime, and UCLA is leading 10-3 over Stanford. Did Christian McCaffrey show up yet? No, I'm only kidding. We'll find out more about that game later. This one a wee bit more important. The Dodgers trying to reduce the magic number to 1. Kershaw now working on Tony Walters. Walters, left-handed, takes a look at a pitch off the plate. So we saw Nick Hundley in the first game. Then we saw Tom Murphy last night. And now it's time to look at Tony Walters. 1-0 pitch on the way. Kershaw deals, and that one finds the mark. Tony Walters is from Vista, California. Went to Buena Vista High School. I guess it's Rancho Buena Vista. He was a 3rd round pick by Cleveland back in 2010. Tony swings, little dribbler by the mound. Tough play for Utley. Gloves it, pushes it, too late. He knew he couldn't barehand and throw, so he caught it in the glove and just tried to push it, but he didn't have enough behind the push. So Tony Walters coming up with a base hit. All of the Dodgers standing around the mound waiting to see if they want to protect and have it reviewed. Couldn't get much on the flip out of the glove. It was in the dirt, and Walters got there about the same time. So we're waiting to see, will the Dodgers and Bob Guerin agree to review. Rob Seguin, Andre Ethier waiting to see. So is Dave Roberts. Review or not to review. Here's the look again. Little flip on a bounce. Tough play. And they want to review it. It's that close. Wow. The umpires, they have an incredible job. You realize just how much of a bang-bang play that was. And we have all the cameras, slow motion, etc. And they have a millisecond to try and make a decision. So it was certainly an all-out effort at creative play. There's the ball in the dirt. And as it comes up, is it or is it not in time? The crowd is reacting. And we can look at it all night. Your guess is certainly as good as mine, probably better. Larry Vanover checking. Tony Walters waiting to see if he has a base hit or not. And in baseball time stands still. Dodgers lead 4-0. We're in the top of the 3rd inning. Kershaw has retired 7 in a row, or is it 8? We'll see. Out. No, it's 8. One way or another, Chase Utley figures out a way to get the runner. But the other night, he went above and beyond a miracle. Face down, couldn't look, flipped the ball backwards, and it was on the mark to Adrian. Now this time a little push. So we have 2 down in the 3rd. Kershaw has retired 8 in a row. And here's Chad Bettis, and he takes a strike. Bettis trying to catch his breath. He made 32 pitches in the 2nd inning. So 57 in the first 2 innings. Waves at a fastball, fouls it away, and the count 0-2. No balls and 2 strikes. Kershaw has 2 strikeouts. Time for the moment, a beach ball in right center field. So Jock Peterson over to get it. And we're back to playing baseball. 0-2 to Chad Bettis. Bettis has 2 hits. So not much of a hitter, but you never know. Strike 2 pitch on the way. Big overhand change in the dirt. 1-2 the count. Dodgers got 4 in the second inning. 4 hits, couple of walks. 4 runs, 5 hits. Jock Peterson had a big base hit. The next pitch is swung on and fouled away. Justin Turner, 2 for 2. He had a big base hit. Drive in a run. 1-2 the count to Chad Bettis. Kershaw trying to put him away and in the inning. And the pitch is on the outside corner, strike 3. 93-mile-an-hour fastball. That would be the 3rd strikeout for Kershaw. And at the end of 2.5 innings on a magnificent. Dodger family. Sign up now for the season seat or mini plan wait list. Registered fans will be contacted by a Dodger season ticket rep on a first-come, first-served basis. So visit Dodgers.com/season ticket or call 866-DODGERS today. Well, for the Dodgers, so far so good. They lead 4-0 here. The Giants lead 4-0 in San Diego. 9 men went to the plate, so it'll be Grandal to start off the 3rd inning, and he takes a strike in the count 0-1. Grandal 6 for 8 in the series with a base hit to right field beginning the 2nd inning. 27 home runs, 71 runs batted in. Ground ball to Cardillo. He'll take it to the bag, and we have 1 away. So 4-0 here, Dodgers. 4-0 Giants there.
Number 11.
Kershaw has retired 9 in a row, striking out 3. And here's Josh Reddick with a badly worn helmet. Well, I think it's coming apart, or at least it looks that way. Craig Biggio had a dog of a helmet. That's a strike. 0-1. Reddick walked, scored a run. Yeah, that's been through the wars. Strike 1 pitch on the way. A 1-hopper at second baseman Valaika, and Pat makes the play. 2 down in the 3rd. And remember, Reddick has not been with the club all year, just for about a month or so since coming over from the American League. But that is a weary looking helmet. Look at Howie Kendricks. Looks like it came right out of the box. Hitting .267. 8 home runs, 40 runs batted in. Ball 1. Chad Bettis trying to win his 14th. The 1-0 pitch on the way, and that's a check swing for a strike, and the count 1-1. One pitch on the way to Howie, foul back, 1-2. Tony Walters saying something that made Kendrick smile. 1-2 to Howie. Bettis works it low in the dirt, and a 2-ball, 2-strike count. Two and two. Kendrick has a look at a pitch low. So 3-2 to Howie. 2 down here in the 3rd inning, and the Dodgers leading 4-0. Jock Peterson waiting on deck. Three and two the count. Here comes Bettis, and the fastball is in there on the outside corner. Strike 3 call. So Kendrick strikes out. The Dodgers go out in order, and at the end of 3, it's 4-0 Dodgers. Exclusively on Spectrum by BMW. See a Southern California BMW Center today for exceptional offers, or visit SoCalBMW.com. The Dodgers celebrating the championship in Minnesota. Sandy Koufax leaping in the air. Wes Parker, the first baseman, coming over to congratulate. That was an amazing last game. Kind of gray, rainy, and the Dodgers had 2 pitchers warming up side by side before the game started. Sandy Koufax and Don Drysdale. Meanwhile, the first pitch fouled away by Charlie Blackmon. And Walter Alston sat in the dugout and nominated Koufax to pitch. Well, we're nominated to go to San Diego. The Giants had a couple of fielder's choices, and then Eduardo Nunez a base hit to drive in Brandon Belt, and the Giants now with a commanding lead of 6-0 in the bottom of the 4th. Strike 1 pitch here, change, check swing for a strike. So 0-2 the count to Charlie Blackmon. Dodgers scored 4 hits and a couple of walks. Blackmon popped up in the 1st inning. He had 2 singles last night. He had a stolen base, and he had 1 hit in the 1st game. Blackmon grounds one up the middle, backhanded by Utley, gets it rolled in time for the out. Another nice play by Chase Utley. Corey Seager saying something complimentary, but Utley just walks away. So that's 10 in a row retired by Clayton Kershaw. That's as close as we've seen to a base hit. Bill Blackman frustrated back in the dugout, and the batter now is Daniel Descalso. Fly to right field first at bat. Fastball is low, ball one. Kershaw following Rich Hill, bouncing around out there on the mound like a Johnny Cueto. Here's the 1-0 pitch on the way. Back he comes with a pretty good follow through and a routine fly ball to Josh Reddick. So 2 down in the 4th inning. And the batter will be Nolan Arenado.
28, Nolan Arenado.
Arenado struck out on a fastball in the 1st inning. Yeah, Bumgarner working against the Padres. Kershaw working against the Rockies. Bumgarner is in the 4th, has not allowed a hit. Kershaw is in the 4th. He has not allowed a hit. And a changeup for ball 1 to Arenado. Nolan hitting his 40th home run last, leading up the 6th inning. 1-0 pitch on the way. Clayton comes back, swung on and missed. 1-1 to Nolan. Boy, he's having a year. He's going to have a bunch of years. 40 home runs, 129 runs batted in. The 1-1 pitch. Kershaw bends it low, change up. 2-1 the count. The 2-1 pitch to Nolan Arenado. Fastball swung on, and Nolan dropping to one knee, taking the mandatory 8 count, and then getting back up. Last year he had 42 home runs and 130 RBIs. So far, 40 home runs and 129. 2-2 pitch, changeup, hit wide to third. Up with it is Seager, but the long throw is going to be too late. Justin Turner diving at the ball, couldn't make the play, and it was virtually impossible for Seager to make it. So Arenado is not too proud to take an infield single. Ground ball had some eyes. It was a slow curveball. Turner diving, came up empty. Seager backhanded it on the grass, and no chance. Arenado runs much too well. So it's a single. Now we'll see if that lets the air out of the balloon here. Psychologically, that can happen. See how well Kershaw responds to Ryan Rayburn. Clayton looks at Arenado, who has a short lead. Now to the plate, fastball, swung on and missed, 0-1. It's interesting. Arenado just got a base hit to break the spell of a no-hitter here in the 4th. Hunter Renfroe has just homered against Bumgarner to break that no-hitter. Giants lead 6-1. Strike 1 pitch on the way. Kershaw comes back, fastball high, 1-1. 4 runs, 5 hits for the Dodgers, no runs, 1 hit for the Rockies. Gerardo Parra waiting on deck. Now the 1-1 pitch on the way. Clayton works the plate, and it's hit in the air to center. Jock goes back to pick it off, and that's the inning. No run, the single, and a man left, and at the end of 3.5 innings, 4-0 Dodgers.
Dodger Stadium. In addition to having a chance to win prizes throughout the game, the first 50,000 fans in attendance will also receive a special commemorative edition of Dodger Insider dedicated to Vin Scully's career. Visit Dodgers.com/LA loves Vin.
Chad Bettis makes his first pitch and gets a strike against Jock Peterson. Bottom of the fourth inning, 4-0 Dodgers, 6-1 Giants in San Diego. One pitch, big swing and a miss, 1-2 the count. However, I said big swing, but that's a small swing compared to the ones that Jock really puts out on the ball. 1-2. There's another pristine helmet. You wonder what in the world did Josh Reddick do to get that helmet in the mess that it is. You saw Kendrick, Peterson, brand new, spotless. Yeah, there it is. It's not been condemned by the good housekeeping seal of approval, but it's on the edge. Ground foul outside of third. 2-2 the count. Craig Biggio, his helmet was covered fully. That's a portion of the helmet. But Biggio never forgot that. It looked infected. He wore it all the time. That's in the dirt. Ball 3. Peterson, Kershaw, and Utley with the Dodgers leading 4-0 in the fourth against Chad Bettis. That's away for ball 4. So Peterson, who singled in the second inning, now draws a walk. Third walk given up by Chad Bettis. And here's Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw sacrificed, and it was a good move. And then Utley walked, and the Dodgers picked up a couple on a base hit by Turner. Every little bit helps. Kershaw with a half a dozen sacrifices. Peterson at first, nobody out. Dodgers 4, Rockies nothing. Dodgers can't do anything about San Francisco, and certainly San Francisco cannot do anything about the Dodgers, who are trying to close the number to 1. 1 ball and no strikes. Dave Roberts, who has done a magnificent job. I don't know if enough has been written about the job Dave has done. Of all the players that went on the DL, the bunt is down. Nice bunt. Bettis has to make the play. So the sacrifice advances Peterson. And Utley and Seager now trying to pick him up.
Second baseman, Chase Utley.
Chase Utley tried to make a play. That's when he scooped the ball up and he had to use his glove to shovel it to first. That close. Very close. Runner called safe. They reviewed it, and safe was the call. So Mark Rippliger had a tough call, but made it. Dave Roberts thought perhaps the play had beaten the runner, but the review said no. So here's Chase, struck out and walked, hitting .252. Fastball, a little low. Ball 1, 1-0. Brandon McCarthy tomorrow in the final game. Tyler Anderson will be on the mound for the Rockies. Anderson is a big left-hander. And as you probably know, Dodgers struggling a wee bit against left-handers. 1 ball and no strikes. Utley hits one down the left field line, but it's high enough. Rayburn is there to make the catch. Dropped it, and the ball is live. So here comes the runner, Peterson. The throw to the plate. He is safe. The ball got away from Walters. So Ryan Rayburn went a long way, caught the ball, and then just dropped it. And then the throw to the plate had Peterson beaten, and it was dropped by Walters. In, out, and down. Ryan then recovered, got the ball to the infield. Peterson tagged up. It's going to be close at the plate, and the throw really had him beaten. But it got away from Tony Walters. So for Walt Weiss, another painful moment. 2 drops, one in left field for the error, and the other at the plate. Dodgers lead 5-0. Utley at second base. No RBI, of course. And meanwhile, Corey Seager, a high drive into center, going back as Blackman, still on the grass, now on the track to make the catch. Tagging up is Utley, and he'll move to third. So Blackman went back to get it. Utley's now at third. Dodgers lead 5 runs, 5 hits, 1 error, led by Rayburn. A very expensive error. A drop in left and then a drop at the plate on the tag. So Seager had that long fly ball to get Utley to third. Now Turner trying to pick him up. And ball 1. And picks up a strike. 0-1 the count. Dodgers have won 19 of their last 24 here at Dodger Stadium. That makes it 0-2. Still 0-2. Dodgers scored 4 in the second. Picked up an extra run here, a gift run in the fourth. Chase Utley, fly ball dropped by Rayburn. Then the relay to the plate looked like Peterson would be out, and Walters couldn't hold on to the throw. 2 drops, and the Dodgers get a run, and that's stroked into left center for a base hit. That catches in Utley, so the 2 drops mean 2 runs, and the Dodgers lead 6-0. Nice bit of hitting. Let's see what that pitch is. I thought so. That was almost in the dirt, and Turner just went down to get it and made a line drive base hit to center. They are so good, these big league hitters. So 6 runs and 6 hits. Stephen Foster out to talk to Bettis. Utley, the man of the moment, back safely in the dugout, and the batter will be Adrian Gonzalez.
Number 23, Adrian Gonzalez.
Gonzalez twice has hit ground balls to first baseman Steven Cardillo. 17 home runs, 86 runs batted in. Right side loaded up. Arenado all alone. Check swing for ball 1. Brandon McCarthy and Tyler Anderson tomorrow. And Tyler Anderson, as we mentioned, a left-hander. Dodgers have not done very well against left-handers. That's going to be a ground ball to left side. Quick flip by Arenado for a force play on Turner. The inning is over. 2 balls get away, and the Dodgers pick up the 2. And at the end of 4, lead 6-0. Oh, my goodness. Sportsnet LA is brought to you by Southern California Toyota Dealers. Toyota's clearance countdown is on. Get the biggest savings of the year on the 2016 Prius family. And by Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights. Select nights through November 5th. Well, back in 1988, one of the great moments. At first, if you saw that picture, you would think something is wrong, but it was anything but. Orel Hershiser kneeling as the Dodgers beat the Mets to win the National League Championship Series. And, of course, as you know very well, went on to beat Oakland, the miracle of Kirk Gibson, etc., etc. Clayton Kershaw gave up an infield single in the 4th inning. That's the only blot on his escutcheon. How about that? I have no idea. Heard that in school somewhere. But anyway, he's allowed 1 hit. And here is Parra, who does pretty well against him. And a strike, 0-1. Oh and 1 the count to Gerardo. He has a Gold Glove when he was with Arizona. Check swing. There are only 3 Gold Glovers in Arizona history: Orlando Hudson, Steve Finley, and Gerardo Parra. 1-1 the count. Parra from Venezuela. Fastball bounced in the dirt. 2-1 the count. So Kershaw, right on the money, retired 11 in a row before the infield single. Though they were thinking no-hitter here, and it disappeared. They were thinking no-hitter in San Diego with Bumgarner, and that disappeared. Next pitch low. Bumgarner's no-hitter and shutout disappeared with a home run. Kershaw's no-hitter disappears with an infield single by Nolan Arenado. 3-1 the count. Fastball popped up, up. Grandal holding on, then gets rid of the mask and makes the catch in fair ground. So Parra pops up. He goes 0 for 2, and we have 1 out in the 5th inning. We were talking before about the fact that with Tyler Anderson pitching tomorrow, the Dodgers will face a left-hander. The Dodgers do okay against left-handers at home. It's on the road when they have their problems. They're 15-10 at home, but 5-11 on the road. So if you look at the numbers, the Dodgers are 1 game under 500 against left-handers. 20 wins, 21 losses. Foul ball. Cardillo struck out in the 2nd inning. Way out in front of the changeup. So when you're facing a guy who throws 94 and he gives you the same windup and you're out there and you come up empty, and then in the process take the mask right off the head of Yasmani Grandal. Catchers get beaten up one way or another all night long. 0-2. Another soft pitch, whack to left over the head of Kendrick, and he's going to have to chase it, but it bounces up into the stands for a ground rule double. So Cardillo, a double to left, and the batter will be Pat Valaika. That's the only 2 hits against Kershaw. Single by Arenado, and now this line drive double by Cardillo. Valaika fly to right, 0 for 1. Right-hand batter. Hit the ball pretty hard, but Reddick was right there to handle it. Pat with a high number, very high, 74. And that's going to be fouled away out of play. Pat's from Valencia, He was selected in the 9th round of the draft back in 2013. Still lives in Valencia and went to school at UCLA. 5'11", but a stocky 200 pounds. So Pat, I'm sure, has some family and friends here tonight and a chance to start. Takes a strike. 0-2. Valaika appeared as a pinch hitter in the John Gray game and struck out. 0-2. Fastball in the dirt. Gets away from Grandal, but not far enough for Cardillo to even think about moving on. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Kershaw has had a nice inning in each of the first 4. He's made 11 pitches so far here in the 5th with 1 out. 1-2. Dodgers lead 6-0. And good fastball puts Pat away. 2 down and a report out of San Diego. The catcher, Derek Norris, with a man aboard, probably pulls one into the seats. Madison Bumgarner giving up a 2-run home run. Giants lead the Padres 6-3 in the bottom of the 5th inning. So for Boshi, he's still leading, but he needs Bumgarner to stay in the game. If he goes to the bullpen, it's Friday night fireworks on Saturday. So 2 down. Here's Tony Walters. He grounded out, the catcher. 3rd catcher used in the series. High fastball. 1-0. Tony Walters from Vista. 5'10", a stocky 180. Trying to pick up Cardillo. Corey Seager trying to take steps away from Steve. 1 ball and no strikes. That's a strike. Tony became the backup catcher to Nick Hundley in spring training. Weiss, talking about him, said he has very good aptitude, baseball instincts, high baseball IQ. That's a lot of compliments. A 1-1 pitch. 1-2. Tony's 24 years old. Came from the Indians. Rockies claimed him off waivers. And losing his bat, he fouls it back. Tony was considered a sure-handed infielder. Then all of a sudden you added catcher, but he's played short, second, third, and catching. Somebody failed to replace his divot. 1-2. Ground ball up the middle. Utley gets it over to first in time. Another nice play. Quick change from glove to hand to throw, all in one motion. So Walters grounds out. No runs, 1 hit, a man left. At the end of 4.5, it's 6-0 Dodgers. On to the bottom of the 5th inning. It'll be Grandal, Reddick, and Kendrick in that order. Both Kershaw and Bettis each made 17 pitches in that inning. The only difference, Bettis now has made 84 and Kershaw 74. 1 ball and no strikes to Grandal. Yasmani singled to right and grounded out, scored a run. So as usual, he's busy. 2 balls and no strikes. Hard ground ball smothered nicely by Cardullo. Great play by the young first baseman to take an extra base hit away. Though 1 away in the 5th inning. Cardullo is not really a first baseman, but he has certainly gotten a workout. And he's done very well. They were supposed to play Gerardo Parra at first base, but Parra fell ill. Couldn't play the first 2 games. Cardullo played, did well. And when Parra did feel well enough to play, they put Parra in right field. Kind of rooting for Stephen Cardullo. He's from Hollywood, Florida. He's the boy who really looked like he would never make it. 4 years just struggling away in virtual anonymity, but there he is. 1 ball, 1 strike. Reddick has walked, grounded out. He with the war-torn helmet. 2-1. And a high fly ball into deep right center on his horse, and Blackman off the wall, picked up by the right fielder Parra, and into second base is Reddick with a long double. He missed the home run by maybe a little more than a foot. Beautiful evening, about 80 degrees, so the ball is carrying, and he got all of it. So Josh keeping his eye, Blackman was keeping his eye on, and the ball is going to hit spectrum right there, maybe less than a foot. So Josh will take it, a 1-out double, and that'll bring up Howie Kendrick. That's 7 hits for the Dodgers. Matt Caracidi, a right-hander, begins to throw in the bullpen. And Bettis is due to lead off in the 6th inning. Chad knowing he's working his last inning. Kendrick is 1 for 2, single to left and struck out. That's a strike. In the dirt. Howie with Jock Peterson hitting behind him. Dodgers scored 4 in the 2nd inning and 2 more in the 4th on 2 drops. One by the left fielder Rayburn, and then it looked like Peterson would be out, and the throw had him beaten and Walters couldn't hold it. And strike 3 call. Well, Howie has his difference with Dave Rackley, but turns, walks away.
Fielder, Jock Peterson.
2 down. Peterson has singled and walked. He has scored twice. So Jock highly visible in this ballgame. And they're going to walk Peterson, I think, intentionally. Yep. And they'll take their chances with Clayton Kershaw. So in a moment, Jock Peterson will get on base for the 3rd time. A single and now his 2nd walk. 1 ball and no strike. 2-0. Occasionally, as Kershaw waits. Occasionally you'll see what looks like an intentional walk, and then they'll try to sneak one over. So even though you see the catcher step aside, the smart hitter is always ready about a pitch that surprisingly might come over the plate. I've actually heard stories where they go 3-2 on a hitter, decide, okay, let's put him on, but they're not really. And the catcher kind of steps aside, the hitter relaxes, zip, strike 3. So here's Kershaw now. He has sacrificed twice with 2 down. He'll check in with a 163 batting average. He's not a bad hitter at all, and he has 2 RBIs. 6-0 Dodgers. Bottom of the 5th inning. 1 ball and no strike. So Bettis has given up 6, knows he's going to go out for a hitter, but he has to push himself to get the last out here. That's in there, 1-1. So the last we heard, it was 6-3 in favor of Bumgarner and the Giants. Padres trying to give him a bad time again. The 1-1 pitch at the knees, 1-2. So Bettis struck out Kendrick. He's trying to do the same to Kershaw. 1 ball and 2 strikes in the dirt. Dodgers 6 runs, 7 hits, no errors. The Rockies no runs, 2 hits and 1 error. Rockies have made 103 errors, and the Dodgers have made only 74. 2-2. Sliced into left field, base hit. Well, here comes Reddick to score. They throw to second base, but Peterson is back there. It is 7-0 Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw coming up with his 3rd RBI with a single to left field. So Josh Reddick brings it home. He scored twice. 7 runs and 8 hits, and Walt Weiss making that long walk to the mound. So they forced his hand. I'm sure Walt was hoping Bettis would get the 3rd out and then they would hit for him. However, he's not going to let Bettis stay in. He's going to go to the bullpen, so he'll be back. Potential home games for the National League Division Series and Championship Series are on sale now. Visit Dodgers.com/postseason to order yours today. His name is Carasidi, C-A-R-A-S ITI, replacing Chad Bettis. Caracidi is from New Britain, Connecticut. Now he's a big man, 6'3", 205, and only 24 years old. No time in the big leagues prior to this year. So for the Rockies not going anywhere, and they want to look at a lot of players, so they've had to look at Bettis, and that didn't work. But Caracidi is brought in a little earlier than he had expected. They were going to hit for Bettis, but he didn't stay in there long enough. Caracidi will be tested by Chase Utley. Right-hander looks down the barrel to get a sign. He signed his major league contract the middle of August and broke in against Philadelphia. Blowing on his hand, it's 80 degrees here. That's a little tough. They're in the bottom of the 6th in San Diego. Giants 6, San Diego 3. Utley struck out, walked, hit the fly ball, dropped by Rayburn. Then came around to score himself. So Turner talking to Doc, as the players call Dave Roberts. I explained that the other night. I thought there was something really to it. Why Doc? I wonder. He's smart. Did he take some medical studies? No. His initials are DR, and ball players love it. Any combination they can work out that makes a good nickname. So DR, Doctor, cut that to Doc, and now we know. 2-1 the count. Ground ball. Cardilla far off, has to throw to his pitcher in time for the out, and the inning is over. For the Dodgers, they get 1 and leave 2, and at the end of 5, Dodgers lead 7-0. Dodgers home at Ebbets Field playing the Pirates, and it was the last game to ever be played at Ebbets Field. Left-hander Danny McDevitt pitched the entire game. Dodgers won 2-0. Gil Hodges knocked in a run for the second run, and that was it. Dodgers went on to win it. The very last out at Ebbets Field was a ground ball to Don Zimmer, and Don Zimmer threw to Gil Hodges for the final out of the game, and the last game to ever be played in Brooklyn. Let's go back to this one.
hitting. Pitch hitter number 18, Christian Adames.
Clayton Kershaw through 5 has made 74 pitches. He's allowed 2 hits. Christian Adames is now batting for Caracidi. And Clayton on his merry way. It's 6-3, 6th inning, favor of the Giants in San Diego. Ball 1. Christian Adames played shortstop last night. Had an infield single, went 1 for 4. And drives one to left center. Peterson on his horse, and he's there. One out in the 6th inning. Charlie Blackmon has popped up, grounded out 0 for 2. Well, if the Dodgers win, and it looks like they might, leading 7-0, the magic number will be reduced to 1. And then we'll see about the Giants. If the Giants win, tomorrow might be the big day on Fan Appreciation Day with a lot to appreciate. But we won't look ahead. Strike 1. On 1. And that's a drive to right center. Again, Peterson is there. Well, down south, things are getting more interesting. Adam Rosales got a high fastball, and he hits a 2-run home run. It is now 6-5 in favor of the Giants in the 6th inning. So it looks like a tiring Bumgarner. But Bruce Bochy dares not go to the bullpen. That was 6-0, 6-1, 6-3, and now 6-5. Fastball, fly ball, and Peterson's going to get them all in the inning. 5 pitches for Clayton Kershaw. Well, are you not a dreamboat? Yeah, we're tired of looking at the little girls. About time we got a man there, and he is having dinner. Thank you very much. 7-0 Dodgers. Spectrum. On this day in 2003, Eric Gagne tied John Smoltz National League mark with his 55th save of the season. Gagne went on to convert a Major League record 84 consecutive saves. Dodgers lead with a commanding 7-0 lead, and the third Colorado pitcher, Chad Bettis, then Caracidi, and now Eddie Butler. Adames, who pinch hit for Caracidi, is at shortstop. and Butler will hit in the number 2 slot if you're practicing keeping score. Butler is from Chesapeake, Virginia. Right-hander, and Seager fouls it away. 0-1. Corey 0 for 3. Grounded out, hit into a force play. Fly to center. In the dirt. 1-1. Eddie Butler is 6'2", about 180 pounds. He is 25 years old. Went to Radford University and signed by the Rockies. Rangers had drafted him, but he went to college instead, and Seager fouls it away. So it's still 1-2. Butler comes back 1-2, check swing, strike 3, and down goes Seager.
Third baseman, number 10.
Justin Turner's having a big night. First bat, base hit to right field, fielded by Parra. Next time, line drive base hit to center to Blackman, scoring Peterson. Then he hit one almost in the dirt and singled to right to draw in Chase Utley. So 3 hits, 2 RBIs, and here he is looking for a 4th. Off speed for ball 1. Fastball a little low. 2-0 the count. Butler certainly considered a good choice by the Rockies. They paid him $1 million to sign. He was a first-round pick, a compensatory pick. And that's in the dirt, so another ball put in play. Well, that will be 4-4, so Turner still working on a perfect night.
First baseman, number 23.
Adrian Gonzalez twice grounded to first and hit into a force play. That's a strike. 0-1. Well, we're really going to keep eye on that San Diego game. 6-5 in favor of the Giants. So they are hanging on. One ball and 1 strike. 6th inning, 1 out. Turner walked. Eddie Butler, the 3rd Rockies pitcher. Bettis, Caracidi, and now Butler. On the outside corner, 1-2. Eddie Butler had a grandmother who must have been something. We lost her back in 2014. But when he was in college, she would make every road trip, and she would keep track of his pitch count and everything else. It was almost like a coach. She knew everything that he was doing. As he said, she was the best stat keeper ever in baseball. Always there. Always talk it up. Passed away in 2014. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Andre. Adrian takes high. 3-2 the count. Looking back at the books, thinking about the Dodgers roughing up pinch hitters. Andre Ethier doubled the other night against Anderson, and then came up and hit an electrifying home run in the 4th inning last night against Gray. 3-2. There goes the runner, fouled away. Dodgers 7 runs, 8 hits. Rockies no runs, 2 hits. Clayton Kershaw, 79 pitches in 6 innings. He's not overpowering people. He's just pitching. He has struck out 4. He has not walked anybody, and he's allowed 2 hits. 3-2 with 1 out. Turner goes again. Missed at the plate. I think the catcher forgot. Yeah, Tony Walters thought it was the 3rd out. Boy, that's embarrassing. So Tony was heading for the dugout, and on a 3-2 pitch, Turner's into second. I think when he saw the runner, he thought there were 2 outs. Okay, that's the inning. And no, it's not the inning. So it is certainly a mistake to learn from. I mean, they're down 7-0, and you can bet Walt Weiss will talk to him, and Tony will not take anything for granted. And as for Walters making an error, come on, welcome to the club. 0-1. Bumgarner's out of there. He went 6 innings, made 99 pitches, 4 hits, and he gave up 5 earned runs. Gave up 3 home runs in that game, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. So Bumgarner goes out leading 6-5, and we'll see what the Padres now can do against the Giant bullpen. Bruce Bochy has made the walk back towards the dugout. Boy, if they put a pedometer on Bochy, just checking the walks and the distances to the mounds this year and back to the dugout, remarkable. Another off-speed pitch that misses. 1 ball and 1 strike. 1 out, 6th inning. Turner now at second base. Well, Bochy went out, brought in Corey Guerin. Guerin struck out Derek Norris. Now Guerin is going to leave. Looks like another pitching change in San Diego. So Bruce making another walk. Dugout, mound, and back to the dugout. Giants are hanging on 6-5. Rockies making nothing for noise here so far. 2 hits, no runs. Big swing and a miss. Kershaw retired the first 11 in a row. Then he gave up an infield single. With 2 out, he gave up a double in the next inning, and that's it. He retired 5 more in a row. 3-2. Eddie Butler, another one of the young pitchers, 25 years old. Josh Reddick on deck. Butler, a redhead. And ball 4. So 2 walks with 1 out. And here comes Josh Reddick.
Right fielder, number 11, Josh Reddick.
Reddick walked, scored a run, grounded out, double scored a run. Fastball away. 1 ball and no strikes. Howie Kendrick waiting on deck. With this kind of a lead all along the way, you would think Roberts will sprinkle the lineup, as he does, to keep everybody in the game. 1-0 off the plate. 2-0 to Josh. Roberts last night used Ethier and Puig. Dodgers won the game 5-2. Hard ground ball, base hit into center. jogging around third. Here comes Turner to the plate. Bad throw. Finally backed up between home and third by the pitcher, Eddie Butler. And the Dodgers lead 8-0. So Reddick having a big night. A walk, a single, and a double. Turner brings it in. 8-0. When the series began, you looked at Colorado and you said, boy, you know, they're pretty tough. Dodgers had won 4 of 6 here, but they had lost 5 of 9 in Colorado. Well, if the Dodgers win tonight and they're leading 8-0, they will have won 7 out of 9 here at Dodger Stadium against the Rockies with 1 game left tomorrow. So 2 on, 2 out, and ball 1 to Howie Kendrick. Jock Peterson waiting on deck. Peterson's having a good night. A single and 2 walks. Kendrick 1 for 3. Peterson just waiting for his turn. Single to right. Walked in the 4th, walked in the 5th. Fouled away. There's such a sad story in San Diego. Yangervis Solarte, young ball player, good ball player. His wife just passed away a few days ago at the age of 31. Left several young children. Well, anyway, he has just gotten into the game as a pinch hitter and single to left field. So he represents the tying run for the Padres. Good low fastball chased and missed. And that'll do it for Kendrick. And for Tony Walters, now he can go to the dugout. At the end of 6, 8-0 Dodgers. Dodgers, 1 home game, that's tomorrow, the final home game of the year, celebrating Fan Appreciation Day, so that's always a fun day. That'll close it up for the homestand for the regular year. Dodgers then go to San Diego for 3 and San Francisco to finish up the regular season. For the Dodgers, winning tonight 8-0, so you figure they're going to win. That would reduce the number to 1, and then it's a question of what the Giants can do desperately trying to hold on to a lead that has suddenly shrunk to 6-5. Here's Nolan Arenado. Struck out, singled, 1 for 2. Hit his 40th home run of the year last night. Takes on the inside corner, 0-1. Arenado from Lake Forest, California. One ball and 1 strike. Kershaw, remember, has 8 wins and no losses in his last 9 starts against Colorado. So he's trying to make a 9-0. A little low. 2-1. Two-one pitch to Nolan. Big swing and a miss. Arenado, with all the talk of how good he is, and he is very good, 25 years old. Kershaw working on a 2-2 count. High and away, ball 3. He's now up to 84 pitches. Little ground ball, but it's going to little its way into center field. So with Seager playing in the hole, Arenado rolls it up the middle. No way that Seager could go back to get it. The wide open spaces. Ground ball single to open up the 7th inning. So Arenado is 2 for 3. And the batter will be Ryan Rayburn.
Dustin Garneau.
And DJ LaMoe is coming. Let's see, it's Dustin Garneau coming up. Okay. And he takes a strike. Garneau hitting .226. He has a home run, 5 runs batted in. A lot of players, of course, called up. So rosters can explode from 25 to 40. Fastball whacked foul down the line. Well back into a big crowd. 0-2 the count. Dustin Garneau is from Torrance, so I'm glad we looked it up. Well, San Diego has tied it up against the bullpen. Base hit by Margot up the middle. It is 6-6, and now this crowd is really into it. On a check swing for the out, they throw down to second, and they get the runner Arenado. So everything the Rockies do tonight turns to soup, and we have 2 down in the 7th inning. How did San Diego tie it up? Well, here's Margot against Derek Law. Base hit by the diving shortstop, and the tying run comes home, and down 6-0. The Padres have tied it up. Jankowski brings in the run. So it could end tonight. I mean, the Dodgers sitting on top of an 8-0 lead, and the Giants have let another one get away. And strike 1. So now this big crowd is starting to think, wait a minute, we might have a big reason to celebrate. Gerardo Parra has grounded out, popped up 0 for 2. Foul back 0-2. And of course for the Dodgers it would be appropriate to have it clinched for the 4th straight divisional title, having Clayton Kershaw leading the way. Parra, no balls and 2 strikes. Clayton has made 90 pitches. That's as many as he made 6 innings against the Giants. See you later, Gerardo Parra. No runs, 1 hit, nobody left. Heading for the bottom of the 7th, 8-0 Dodgers. Challenger. Test drive one at your local Dodge dealer today. And buy Jack in the Box. Dodger Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by the Dodge Challenger. Test drive one at your local Dodge dealer today. And buy Jack in the Box. Taste the all-new Jack's Brewhouse Bacon Burger today at Jack in the Box for a limited time only at participating restaurants. Bottom of the 7th inning, 8-0 in favor of the Dodgers. Eddie Butler delivers a strike. This is not the case where the Butler did it. It was already done early against Chad Bettis. Dodgers scored 4 in the 2nd and 2 more in the 4th. High foul ball out of play. 8 runs, 9 hits, no errors for the Dodgers. No runs, 3 hits, and 1 error for the Rockies. Kershaw talking to Dave Roberts, and we'll see if they want him to pitch anymore. He hasn't wrapped his arm yet, but he looks like he's saying goodbye to his teammates. Rich Hill just patted him. There's Utley. Here comes Adrian, Rob Seguin. So from the looks of things, he's done. 0-2 the count. So Kershaw will be 9-0 in his last 10 starts against Colorado. He is 12-3. And his lifetime record against the Rockies will be 18-5 as Turner and Seager come over. So it's a very happy dugout, and they're well aware that the Giants have been caught, and the fact that it's 6-6 down there. The Rockies have made wholesale changes. Walters was the catcher, and he's now playing second base. That's for opening. Garneau is taken over behind the plate as Peterson draws the walk. So here's Andre Ethier. As we mentioned a little while ago, that's what Roberts wants to do at this time. Keep everybody in here. Ethier has 2 hits. He doubled to right, and he homered to right in the series. Jordan Patterson in left field now, and the pitch fouled away. So we're writing him in as we get him. Walter to second base. Garneau is now behind the plate. Valika has moved over to third. Patterson in left and Tapia in center. 0-1. Fastball in for a strike. Butler airing that one out at 95. Bottom of the seventh, 8-0 Dodgers. And that'll do it. A couple of really good fastballs, 95, 96, and down goes Ethier. So Chase Utley will be coming up. Ethier tonight,
number
struck out, walk,
Chase
fly
Utley.
ball dropped by Rayburn in left field for an error, and he came around to score. Last time up, grounded out. We're in the bottom of the seventh inning, but all eyes are in San Diego. And there's a drive heading for the gap, and it is going to fall for a base hit. Patterson recovers, gets the ball in, down to second base, and the throw gets Utley sliding in. So the throw starts from left field Patterson to third base Valika, and now Utley goes back to the bag. Let's see. It looked like they had called him out. Alfonso Marquez, the veteran umpire at second, and now here comes Walt Weiss saying, wait a minute, there's the tag. It looks like he's gotten him. And I thought I saw the out call, and it was there. Yeah, that's the call we saw. But the first baseman, Cardullo, is pointing to the third baseman to throw the ball to second, and he got it over there, but the out was called, but Utley's still there. We'll take a look and see exactly what might have happened. Was there interference on the baseline? And maybe that was it. And it's going to go. See, Cardullo, he's pointing to throw the ball, but he's standing right in the way of Utley. So it'll be interference, obstruction, and Cardullo is burned. And now Seager pops it up. Going out for it is the young shortstop, and instead Tapia makes the catch and left-hands it back in. So Seager
Third baseman,
flies
number 10,
out to shallow
Justin
center.
Turner.
They're in the top of the eighth inning in San Diego. The Giants 6 and the Padres 6. So here Turner having a perfect night. He has 3 singles, a walk, and a stolen base. Dodgers have Jesse Chavez in the pen. Butler runners at second and third with 2 down. Dodgers lead 8-0. Fouled away by Turner. So a couple of Redbeards down there. Eddie Butler, Justin Turner. I'm intrigued by the helmets now. I keep looking, and all the Dodger helmets look pretty good. And then there's Josh Reddick's. 0-1. Throwing hard is Butler, 96 miles an hour. Well, in the top of the eighth inning, the Giants went down before you could say it. 1-2-3. So it's tied 6-6, and they're in the bottom of the eighth inning in San Diego. So at the rate they're going, that game might be finished before this one is over. 0-2. 1-2. Bettis, Caracidi, and Butler. Bad night for the Rockies, big night for the Dodgers, breezing 8-0. 1-2. Fastball hammered. If it stays fair, it's right down the line, and it's going to be foul. All eyes on Larry Vanover. Boy, did he get a lot of that. Larry with his son traveling with him. That's nice. Got to be a tough, lonely job for umpires. Yeah, Turner unloads a mile high, but it is going to go foul. So Justin, who has 27 home runs, 87 runs batted in, and the count 1-2. Fastball fouled away the other way. Butler now throwing hard. 95, 96, and that last pitch, 97. Meanwhile, Jock Peterson standing at third. Chase Utley at second because of the interference. 1-2 to Turner. Time. You know, when the Giants went to San Diego to begin the series, they had lost 6 in a row to San Diego. Lowe gets away, but not far enough. So Garneau stayed with it, and Peterson stays at third. Down and dirty, squirts away, but not all the way to the backstop. Tony Walters, who had been catching, is now out there in the safety of second base. 2-2. Dodgers got 4 in the second, 2 in the fourth, a run in the fifth, a run in the sixth, and Turner fouls it back. And that's 97. He's gone right up the ladder. 95, 96, 97. Eddie Butler. 6'2", but only 180. Two balls, 2 strikes. Fastball low. And again, 97. Waiting on deck, Adrian Gonzalez. Three and 2. And ball 4 to load the bases.
First baseman number 23, Adrian.
So Jock Peterson is at third. Utley is at second. Turner is at first. And here's Adrian. A big producer, and we'll see what he does in this spot. 0 for 3 with a walk. Boy, he was going to air it out. That was going to go to at least to Pasadena. No balls and 1 strike. On 1 and 0-2. 96-mile-an-hour fastball. You notice Garneau behind the plate. He was touching his body before putting down the fingers. That's the equivalent of, let's say, a third base coach going through the hitter take sign. Watch him if he does it again. Mask. Yep. All of that is to tell you that however it's set up, what the pitch call will be. And it's in the dirt. 1-2. So Butler trying to get out of a bases loaded situation. Peterson, Utley, and Turner. The rare interference or obstruction call on Cardillo, standing in the way of Utley. 1-2. Fouled away. And there's another 97. Well, they're in the bottom of the 8th inning. Giants 6, Padres 6. Yasmani Grandal waiting on deck. In the dirt, squirts away, but again, not far enough. Butler throws very hard. He is 2-5, and he has an earned run average over 7. So he's gone 2-2 to Adrian Gonzalez. 8 runs, 10 hits for the Dodgers. No runs, 3 hits for the Rockies. And fouled upstairs off to the left. Adrian checking the bat to make sure. Butler throwing hard and trying to throw strikes. Two and two. Inside at the knuckles at 95. So Butler has gone about as far as he can go with the bases loaded. 2 out, 3-2 on Gonzalez. Really no pressure on him with Grandal waiting on deck. Runners go. And there's a ground ball in the opening to center field. 2 runs will score. And the Dodgers lead 10-0. So Jock Peterson scores the 3rd time. Utley right behind him. No play on the runners as Turner goes to 3rd. So Adrian just rolled one up the middle. Nobody anywhere near the ground ball base hit. 10-0 Dodgers. You only need 1 to win. David Dahl, rookie outfielder, is now going to replace Parra in right field. And they'll be replacing Butler, and we'll be back. Dodger Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you exclusively on Spectrum by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop online at choosenissan.com. The Dodgers are leading. Well, they're not leading. They're running away 10-0. We're in the 7th inning, so the Rockies have 2 more innings to play. Meanwhile, all eyes are in San Diego. It is 6-6. They're in the top of the 9th inning, and Buster Posey is the batter. So we'll keep an eye on that one. This game has disintegrated. There's ball 1. Grandal has singled, grounded out twice, walked, scored a run. 27 home runs, 71 runs batted in. And the count runs 2-0. Christian Bergman with a record of 1-3 and an earned run average over 8. On the corner, 2-1 the count. Down in San Diego, Brandon Marr, a right-hander, is pitching. Fly ball to center, very playable, and the out. So there's 1 out. 3-1 the count. I think that might have been Posey who flied to center. So we'll keep an eye on that game while watching this one. Gonzalez and Turner out there, and that's a strike. 3-2 with 2 down. Gonzalez ready to go. They're not holding him on anyway. Three and 2. Gonzalez ready to trot, and the pitch is ball 4 to load him up. So it's pretty excruciating, I'm sure, for the Rockies, for Walt Weiss, who was the shortstop in the 1988 Oakland team, beaten in the last minute by Kirk Gibson. A solid player, a good manager, and it's just not professional to lose 10-0. But that's the score, and here's Josh Reddick. Bases loaded. Reddick is walked and grounded out, doubled and singled, and pops it foul, out of play. 0-1. Eduardo Nunez is the batter. Hunter Pence flied out, and now Nunez gets a base hit. So with 2 out, the Giants have a runner at first, 9th inning, in a 6-6 tie. There's a high fly ball down the line, going foul. It will drop untouched. Good effort by Pat Valaika, but no chance, and the count stays. So ground ball to left field. That was a base hit by Nunez. And we'll see who's coming up now for the Giants. 6-6, 9th inning. Joe Panik will now be the batter with a runner at first and 2 out. Runner going, throw to second base, and they get Nunez. So Nunez thrown out. He is hot, but he's done. Derek Norris nailed him, and I think that's the 3rd out. So it's 10-0 Dodger here. A high drive to right field. Oh my gosh, that is going to go into the bullpen. A grand slam home run. So the Dodgers pick the extra point and lead 14-0. For Josh Reddick, that would be his 4th grand slam home run. You know, there's a lot of professional pride down there on the field, not only with the Dodgers. So you can imagine how the Rockies feel, and particularly Christian Bergman. They're fighting for jobs, fighting for the rosters, fighting for spring training. And it's just been an awful night for them. 14-0 Dodgers. And the big story for the Dodgers now, an eye on San Diego. Ground ball up the middle. Adames is on it, makes the play. So they get Kendrick, and mercifully, that's the end of the 7th inning. The Dodgers post a half a dozen with a grand slam by Reddick. Dodgers lead 14-0. The Dodgers postseason push with MLB.com at bat. That's the #1 app for live baseball. So get MLB.com at bat on your favorite devices now. Well, we told you that Eduardo Nunez was called out. They reviewed the play and reversed the call. Nunez was safe at second base, so the Giants had a tiebreaker in the 9th with 2 out, only to have Joe Panik roll out to second base for the final out. So they're in the bottom of the 9th inning, 6-6 in San Diego. Josh Reddick has his grand slam. Jesse Chavez has the ball, and into the 8th inning we go. Kind of tough to see a big league ball club get pushed around, but at the same time, although it might be a little embarrassing and frustrating, it's not too hard to take. It's a lot easier to lose 14-0 than 3-2 in the 9th inning. 0-2. Naturally, the pitchers and someone like Bergman, who comes in and in the blink of an eye gives up a bunch, including the slam. Cardullo, remember, caused grief in that inning, trying to direct the player at third to throw to second, and he stood in the way of Utley, and interference or obstruction was called. 1-2 the count. Another big crowd tonight. Should be a dandy tomorrow. Ground ball to short. Seager. Gonzalez. One away in the 8th inning. The paid attendance tonight. It is the 8th sellout. 53,299. 53,299. Last night 52,320. So the Dodgers rolling along nicely on the way to winning their 4th divisional championship. They have drawn over 3,600,000. Foul back. There's probably about 3,650,000 with 1 game left. So Pat Valaika, fly to right, struck out, started the game at second. Now he's playing third. Foul back. So Clayton Kershaw got the job done, and Chavez now trying to finish up. Clayton, breezing, allowed just 3 hits. There was a feeling in the ballpark early where the crowd thought they might see another no-hitter. He retired the first 11 in a row, but Arenado had an infield single. High fly ball to deep center. I think he got it all. Back goes Peterson, and it is gone. Home run by Pat Valaika, and that certainly has to make him feel happy. Although as far as Chavez is concerned, not happy at all. Joe Valaika, the Prince from Valencia. So went to school at UCLA. That's a nice touch. And he gets a round of applause. They know what it's like to come home and hit one. So Pat is welcome. It also takes a 0 off the board. The Dodgers lead 14-1. Tony Walters, who started catching, finishing up at second base. For Valaika, by the way, a big night. The kid from Valencia hits his first major league home run. A little ground ball to Gonzalez. He waves his pitcher away, and we have 2 down. And the batter now will be Adames, the shortstop. Dodgers in the bottom of the 8th inning have already scored 14 runs. Adames flied to center, coming in as a pinch hitter, and then stayed in the game. He went 1 for 4 last night. Switch hitter takes a strike, 0-1. So is it going to end tonight? Well, it all depends on San Diego. 6-6, bottom of the 9th inning. And a drive with a broken bat foul outside of first. And Adames will have to get another stick. 14 runs, 12 hits for the Dodgers. 1 run, 4 hits for the Rockies. Dodgers had that grand slam by Josh Reddick. That bat broke up in 3 pieces. The plate umpire Rackley has part of it. The bat boy retrieved another, and now will bend down and take up the 3rd piece. So it just disintegrated. And Adames will have to come back with a no-ball 2-strike count against Jesse Chavez. Down in San Diego, they have an out. Hunter Strickland, hard-throwing right-hander, then struck out Derek Norris. So there are 2 outs. Bottom of the 9th inning in a 6-6 tie. We can see Bruce Bochy is talking to the plate umpire. Kelby Tomlinson is coming into the game, and Adames fouls it away. So Bochy making a move. Strickland will leave, and a new man will be coming in a moment. So Strickland got Derek Norris, and they'll go to commercial while we await the new pitcher in San Diego. 0-2 the count to Adames. Chavez delivers low and away. 1-2 the count. Kershaw, a tremendous performance, going 7. A huge lift again for the Dodgers. And that's down and away. Adames strikes out. They will settle for the run, the home run by Pat Valaika, the Bruin from UCLA. It is 14-1 Dodgers. You're certainly the player of the game, Clayton Kershaw, who was absolutely brilliant. Didn't overpower. That wasn't one of those 9-10 strikeout games, but he had great stuff, and he just completely had it in control. Then he had a base hit to drive in Josh Reddick as well. So it was a big night for Clayton Kershaw and the Dodgers. And now here's Andrew Toles. 0-1 the count. Toles hitting .421 as a pinch hitter. .326 for his overall average. Strike 2 pitch, very high and away. Dahl has replaced Patterson in left field, and Patterson has moved over to replace Dahl in right field. Ground ball to first, and that should be one away. Cardillo running it to the bag. So one down as Toles grounds out. Josh Peterson, while he played, single to right and walked 3 times. Micah Johnson will now come up. So again, it's typical of Dave Roberts trying to make the best thing out of a 14-1 Dodger lead, giving everybody a little bit of a taste. Dodgers in the bullpen will have a left-hander while Charlie Culberson comes out on deck. And ball 1. The left-hander is Adam Lieberthal. Johnson, who's going to be used basically as a runner. Nevertheless, they're trying to keep him sharp just in case. 1 ball and 1 strike. So Chase Utley now a chance to rest with Culberson ready to hit for him. 1-2. So the story now is completely in San Diego. One and two. In the bottom of the 9th inning, Will Smith popped up against Carlos Asway, and they're going to go to the 10th inning in San Diego. 6-6. 2-2. Ground ball exactly to short. Adames is there, and we have 2 down in the 8th inning. Culberson coming up to bat for Utley. When the Rockies come up in the 9th inning, it'll be the top of the order, but the top of the order has changed quite a bit.
Charlie Culberson.
Tapia will start the inning. Charlie Culberson getting a chance to get his feet wet. Rob Segedin is out on deck. Charlie hitting .255. Good solid addition to the infield. Chases one up that seemed to move away. 0-2 the count. So it's all up to the Giants and the Padres. Dodgers have this one salted away, and the magic number is 1. Strike 2 pitch on the way, just off the plate. 1-2. Giants ready to at bat in the 10th inning. 6-6. But remember, at one time they led 6-0, 6-1, 6-3, 6-5, and then the Padres caught them 6-6. So it has become a very familiar story about San Francisco. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, bases empty. Charlie Culberson waiting. And another foul ball. Big crowd on hand. I think a lot of them are waiting to see if they can hear something about San Diego. We had 53,299. 3-2. So tonight a nightmare for Colorado. Dodgers trying to beat Colorado 7 out of 9 here at Dodger Stadium. Fastball chop wide at third. Nice play there. Had the right throw, and it gets away from Cardillo. And so holding on at first is Charlie Culberson. In fact, it got away completely. Charlie is awarded second base. So Valaika hits a home run in the 8th inning. But in that baseball, he then throws one away for a 2-base throwing error. And they're going to rule it 1-1. 1 base hit. Nice for Charlie Culberson. That would be the 3rd error charge against Colorado. So Rob Segedin now hitting for Seager. That's a strike. 0-1. 14 runs, 13 hits for the Dodgers. 1 run, 4 hits, and 3 errors. Although the errors, yeah, they hurt. But the Giants down there are hurting. And the Dodgers have just piled it up here. Big pop fly on the infield. It'll be Adames putting it away. And that'll be that for the Dodgers in the 8th inning. So we're going to the 9th, 14-1 Dodgers. Adam Liebertor coming in to get some outs, and we'll be back. Coming up and what's left of the game. Dodgers 14 runs, 13 hits. There are so many changes, I won't overwhelm you with them.
And at third base, number 3, Chris Taylor. Remaining in the game in center field, number 60, Anthony Cole.
In the 10th inning, Kelby Tomlinson singled to right field. A run has scored. Pagan scored, and the Giants lead San Diego 7-6, top of the 10th inning. So that's a big play, and San Francisco trying to stay alive at least to push it along for one more day. So Tapia in the leadoff spot, and Liebertor gets a strike. 0-1. It's been Kershaw, Chavez, and Liberatore. Bad ball chased and missed. 0-2 the count. Ramil Tapia. He's from San Pedro in the Dominican Republic. 6'2", but he's only about 165 pounds. Left-handed all the way. Waves out another one, and down he goes. And you will not believe it, but Denard Span has just hit a 2-run home run. We can take a look at it. Right down the right field line and out of there. So the Giants now have a commanding lead, and the score is 9-6 San Francisco. We're wondering about the wild card, and here's so far what's going on. The Cardinals won at Wrigley Field. The Mets lost to Philadelphia. The Mets were down 10-0, and believe it or not, had the tying runs on base. So for the game, the Mets are atop the heap. The Giants a half a game. Cardinals a half a game.
Left fielder number 72.
The Giants, with a win, will tie New York. Jordan Patterson, left-hand batter, coming up. We have 2 out here in the 9th inning. So the Dodgers 1 out away. A little bit of a disappointment, of course. They were so close to a celebration tonight, but it looks like it might be tomorrow. That's a strike. Patterson up there. Jordan Patterson. 2 out in a 14-1 Dodger game. Liberatore wrapping it up inside. They almost hit him. 1-1. Dodgers 14 runs, 13 hits, no errors. The Rockies committing 3 errors, had 4 hits and 1 run. Bettis will be the loser. Kershaw will be 12-3, 18-5 lifetime against Colorado. 2-0 this year. And what is really interesting, Clayton now is 9-0 against the Rockies in the last 10 starts. So the Giants out in front, leading 9-6, and if they hold on, they'll be tied with the Mets for the wild card. So they're very much alive. Dodgers trying to snuff out their candle tomorrow. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Liberatore a strike away from turning out the lights, and his 1-2 pitch on the way. Low, 2-2. Top of the 10th, 2 out now, 9-6 San Francisco. Brandon McCarthy is due to start tomorrow's game. So on Fan Appreciation Day tomorrow, it could be the way to win the National League division. Little pop fly could be trouble. It is going to drop. So holding on with the base hit is Patterson. Little fly ball single to right. The 5th hit.
13,
so McCarthy with Scott Kazmir on one side, Andre Ethier on the other, but it's McCarthy coming back from all of his physical problems who has a chance to win and pitch the clincher. Dustin Garneau coming up, the catcher. And of course Clayton just hanging around along with Trace Thompson, Justin Turner. All right, Liberatore trying to get the last out against Garneau. Little foul, out of play, 0-1. 53,299. Dodgers broke it open in the 2nd inning with 4. Really finished the Rockies off with 2 more in the 4th, and then the game really went downhill. The Dodgers picked up a run in the 5th, a run in the 6th, 6 in the 7th, and the game had disintegrated. 0-1. 0-2. So Liberatore a strike away. Now it's up to the Giants to hold on to a 3-run lead. I mean, you can't take anything for granted with the Giant bullpen. 0-2 to count to Patterson. Make it to Garneau. And he's going to hit a flare to center. Going to land in front of Toles for a base hit. So the Rockies have 2 on with 2 out on that little fly ball to sink into center field. Well, they're finished in the top of the 10th. The Giants scored 3, so the game goes to the bottom of the 10th. 9-6 San Francisco. Tom Murphy, who caught the game last night, comes up to bat here in the 9th inning. Two out, 9th inning, 14-1 Dodgers. So Liberatore giving up a couple of base hits. Strike. Not that they were hard hit, but nevertheless base hit. Adam, of course, fighting to prove that he should be on the roster for the postseason as Turner and Kershaw look on. 0-1 the count. Very high. 1 ball and 1 strike. So Dave Roberts sitting in a very sweet spot right now. One ball and 1 strike. Fastball line drive right at shortstop Charlie Culberson, and that mercifully ends it. 1 run and 6 hits for the Rockies, who were never in the game after the 2nd inning. So Kershaw does it. The Giants trail the Dodgers by 7.5, but that's not the important thing. The magic number reduced to 1. The Giants are winning in the bottom of the 10th. That'll do it for us. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Till then, we wish you all a very pleasant good evening, everybody.